Hi guys, Dr. Rachel Hippolyte here. So I thought I'd jump online quickly. I've been having loads and loads of questions regarding neurooptimal neurofeedback brain training, whether it will help, what it is. So I thought I'd jump online and just do a video that I can share to answer all the questions that are coming in rather than keep repeating myself. Okay, so in order to understand about neurooptimal, we first need to understand about the brain and plasticity of the brain. And neuroplasticity is the ability of the brain to learn, to adapt, to change, and to make new neural pathways throughout our lives, okay? And it's always doing that. So the way I like to think of the brain is these interconnecting roads or freeways or pathways or neural pathways, and they light up every time that we think something, that we do something, or that we feel something, okay? And they communicate together. And when we have good function, we have good synchronicity. And they light up at the right time for the right situation, okay? So for instance, they will light up in an anxiety part of the brain when there is an actual threat, but sometimes there becomes confusion and it will light up at the wrong time, or there'll be poor synchronicity or turbulence within those electrical impulses in the brain. So let's go back to those roads. So some of those roads are really well traveled and they become habits, okay? And they are established way of thinking and doing, and they're automatic, they're familiar, and they're the fastest option that the brain will take. So every time that we act or in a certain way, we do a task or we feel an emotion, we strengthen that particular road, okay? Even if it's the wrong road, or the outcome is the wrong outcome. So even if that road and that activity, that emotion, that feeling, that thought doesn't actually make us happy or healthy, it's actually the automatic, easiest, familiar route for our brains to take. Now, when we actually learn how to do something differently, and that may be to think differently, that may be a new task, that may be a new skill, that may be a different emotion that we choose to feel, we actually start carving out a new road, okay, a new neural pathway. But initially that new road isn't very familiar, okay? The bends in that road, we actually have to think about how to go down it. But the more that we use those new thought processes, the more that we use those new emotions, our brains then become familiar and that pathway becomes stronger, okay? And eventually it will become the familiar, most common, easiest way for the brain to automatically use, okay? And then that old negative pathway, which we haven't used as much, that actually just shrivels up and becomes the hardest one to use. So this process of rewiring the brain is actually called, and learning to make new connections and weakening those old ones is called neuroplasticity. And that's exactly how this brain training system works. Okay, so let's talk about symptoms that our brains may not be working at their best. And they're generally all your mental and your physical health symptoms. Remember, your brain controls absolutely everything in your body. Okay, so it may be brain fog, it may be poor focus, it may be easily distracted, it may be that we're sad when we don't need to be sad, it may be we're anxious when there's nothing to be anxious about, it may be emotional instability or irritability, it may be negative thinking patterns or poor sleep or fatigue or even a poorly functioning immune system. But the really good news is that all brains have the ability to rewire and change to enable better thought patterns and better functioning, and to individualize, the optimum of that individual brain, to ensure that it's working at its best and ensure the best mental and physical health. And because when we're on that negative pathway and those thoughts and behaviors are just habit, the brain doesn't actually worry whether it's useful to you or not in the moment. Okay, it just automatically does it. It's not assessing it. And that's exactly what NeuroOptimal does. Okay, it trains the brain away from those neurological patterns that aren't benefiting you towards optimum functioning. Now, you don't need a diagnosis for this. And the really important thing is that it trains the brain as a whole. As you can see, I'm wearing these sensors, and these two sensors here actually pick up the neurological activity within my brain on my scalp, okay? And it summates the whole of the brain activity. Now, some neurofeedback machines will need to do an EEG, and then they look for a dysfunction, and then they go after that dysfunction and push the brain in order to make the changes. NeuroOptimal works very, very different to that. This is not a treatment, this is a training, and we allow the brain to giving it the information that it needs to reassess as to whether it's giving us the best pathway. And that's exactly what it does. So imagine, and let's have a look here. So we have the main computer here. We have the sensors that are then attached into the box, okay? And that is where all the sensations come back into the computer. So every single millisecond in the moment, it is assessing what my brain is doing. So it's assessing the now rather than a scan that I had maybe 2, 3, 5, 6, 7 weeks ago. It's constantly doing it while I'm attached to it. And then this at the back, you can see while it is playing, it will be just playing like this. Now, this isn't a majorly important part. I'll be wearing earphones when the program is playing and when the sensors are picking up, and I've started the program. And what it does is it constantly gives the brain information based on what it is sensing here. And every time it senses something that is causing an instability, a desynchronization, what it does is it interrupts the sound that's playing in my ears. So what I hear is these constant little blips, these constant little interrupts. And what that does is it allows the brain to come back to the moment to say, did I just do the best option, or is there a better option to do? So it's purely the brain doing the work. We're not pushing the brain in any different way, okay? We're allowing the brain, which is what it does. It learns, it adapts to our environment. So it's allowing it, rather than automatically, it's bringing the back to the moment to check whether it's done the right thing, and then to make a new pathway if it feels that that's the right thing. So imagine, the way I like to think about this brain training tool is that it's a mirror, okay? When I look in a mirror, all right, the mirror's not doing anything. All it's doing is giving me information. So when I wake up in the morning, I look in that mirror, just about to go to work, and I think, okay, I can't go to work without brushing my hair. Then I brush my hair. Probably better wear some makeup because I'm looking quite tired today, and I put some makeup on. So it's me doing the changes. All the mirror's doing is giving me the information. And that's exactly what NeuroOptimal does. Millisecond by millisecond, it's constantly giving the system or the mirror information which is given to my brain, okay, so that my brain can do the best job in to guide the pathways. Now, when the brain is then working at its optimal, all those symptoms of poor synchronicity, turbulence, those mental health problems, those physical health problems that we get, generally just wash away. So that's NeuroOptimal in in a snippet about how it works, and most importantly, that it's a brain training tool. Okay, so while I was having my session, I was literally doing work on the computer. Okay, you don't need to function it like a lot of neurofeedback programs where you have to try and get your brain to push things back. You don't actually need to do any work. I could fall asleep if I wanted to, because we're working with the unconscious part of the mind. That's the bit that will just continue doing everything that it needs to in the background. So you can sit and watch the screen. I've done that sometimes. I've actually just done some work today. The only thing you can't do, because you're listening to music and interrupts, is you couldn't watch or listen to a TV program. Okay, so you maybe can go on your phone, you can maybe play a game. We want you to be reasonably calm. So I wouldn't allow my son on it while he's maybe playing on a really fast, one of his fast games or his shooting games or something like that. But I'll allow him just to sit here on his phone or reading or something. Okay, so that is it in a key. I hope that helps you to understand, but the results that we are getting with NeuroOptimal, which has been around for 30 years, but has just been constantly being developed, are absolutely phenomenal. Every single brain can change when given the right information, and NeuroOptimal is giving it the right information. How long it takes is very individualized to your brain, and I will do another one about expectations, what it can treat. Basically, it treats if your brain is not working at its optimum. Okay? Anyway, I hope that all makes sense, guys. I am absolutely loving this. This is my 4th session, and I'm already seeing changes, subtle shifts in how I'm thinking, in even my vision seems clearer. But I will keep you updated as to how things are going with me. All right, guys, see you later.